Thanks to her lying ex-husband, Finlay juggles 2 kids, a deadline for her next book, and her sanity. If that's not enough, she soon finds herself working against the Russian Mafia as the prime suspect in the disappearance of one of their top men. Will she escape this predicament without losing her kids and her freedom?
Ooh.
The book, Finlay Donovan is Killing It. The author, Elle Cosimano, and you're listening to Lit Society. Let's get lit! Hey y'all, hey, this is Kari.
And this is Alexis.
And you're listening to Lit Society, a show about books and drama. Alexis.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about Elle Cosimano and perhaps her inspiration for today's book?
You know, I don't have any inspiration for her, but I do have a little bit of information about her. Elle Cosimano is a best-selling author for the New York Times and USA Today. And those are just a couple of her acknowledgments. She's written essays for the Huffington Post and Time.com. She has a collection of YA books for which she is very popular for. Okay. The book we're covering today is her debut novel for adults, and it was published in February 2021. She lives in Virginia with her husband and 2 sons. And that is the information on Elle Cosimano. Kari, who do you think would enjoy reading this book?
Well, first I want to say that makes complete sense because this read like a YA novel for adults.
It did.
And that's not an insult. It was very easy to understand the direction of the story. The setting was made very clear. The language is very simple. And that can be refreshing. So who do I think would enjoy reading this book? This goes along with a lot of the novels being made now, where there's not really a twist at the end. It's just a cozy crime mystery, a cozy murder, where the stakes are pretty low, even though they're high. And the characters close to you, or those that you are most familiar with, are never in any real actual harm.
Okay. Is that what makes up a cozy murder?
Yeah, a low body count, low, like Jurassic Park, not a cozy murder.
Not a cozy murder.
The Thursday Murder Club, yes, that's a cozy murder mystery. The idea is that you can sit next to a window in a blanket, eat your soup, and read this book without your heart rate going up at all.
Absolutely.
So I think if that interests you, you'd like this book. And Alexis, why did you choose this book?
So I was in Portugal, and a woman who was visiting, I hung out with her briefly, and we were talking about books, as all my conversations eventually lead to. Self-directed. And I asked what she was reading. And this was a book she was reading, hadn't finished, but was reading. So I decided to give it a try. And I thought, I'd like to hear Kari's input on this book.
All right. Well, then without further ado, should we dive into the plot of Finlay Donovan is Killing It? Alexis, the floor is yours.
Let's do it. Okay. The scene. Well, not the scene, but let's start with this quote. It's a widely known fact that most moms are ready to kill someone by 8:30 a.m. on any given morning. And
Pause. That's a great opening line, and it leads you to another book, not the book we're about to read today. That's all.
And as a mother, I know that feeling. So I totally get it. Anyway, Finlay Donovan, Finn for short, is a 31-year-old divorcee, sleep-deprived romance suspense writer with 2 children. It's October 8th, Tuesday, and she's ready to kill somebody by 7:45. She needs to meet her agent by 10 a.m. for a brunch reservation to discuss her overdue book. She's supposed to be writing. She's tried 3 times to get started, and she is getting nowhere.
Can I just tell you? Eating eggs at Panera and calling it brunch is diabolical.
No. The thing is, she had a brunch appointment, but she was late. So they had to cancel that, and she had to pick something else. And first thing that came to her mind, she couldn't afford the brunch reservation anyway. But the first thing that came to her mind was Panera. So that's why. So she ends up at Panera.
Okay.
The babysitter hadn't arrived. And when she called the babysitter, she got no answer. She's like, what's going on? my babysitter's not here. The baby's cutting her hair, and the other baby doing all kind of stuff what babies do. So she had to call her ex-husband and ask him to watch the children while she went to the meeting, and he begrudgingly agreed. Listen, Finn is barely scraping by and is past due on her bills, including rent. And that's rent she pays to her ex-husband, and he is demanding it. He's like, you late and give me my money.
Is this reasonable to charge the mother of your children rent in the home she shares with her kids?
Girl, I don't know.
That are your kids?
That don't make sense to me, but who am I? Shoot, that don't make sense. Why would you do that? He want her out. And I think the reason why he does that, because overall he wants to take the kids from her. So
don't stress out the mom. She cares for the kids.
No. If he takes her from her, who cares? You know, that's the plan.
Okay.
So she's already spent her advance and she can't afford any more delays or excuses about the book. So she needs to pull it together, get to this appointment.
I'm sorry. This is the last time I interrupt you.
No,
it's not. Why am I lying?
Yeah, because
her
you know it.
Is like $2,000, which I thought,
that part.
Wow, this is realistic.
That part.
Because sometimes you hear about advances for novels and it'd be like, well, I got $15,000 and when I turn in the rest of the book, another $20,000. And I'm like, what kind of
yellow
fine
face.
If you're established. But Finlay is on her second novel and her advance is $2,000. And that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. And her husband is like, her ex-husband, mind you, is like, you need to stop with the trashy novels.
And they're not even trashy.
Anyway,
he's just downplaying her work. It's terrible.
That is all it is. Anyway, this ex-husband of hers, he cheated on her with their real estate agent. Her name is Teresa, and they're now engaged. Now, when Finn found out that they was getting engaged, she kind of cut up and put on a scene and whatnot.
She broke some laws.
Mm-hmm. So her ex-husband's landscaping business is thriving thanks to his new girlfriend's real estate connection. Mm-hmm. And now that his business is flourishing, he suggests that Finn get a real job because this trashy book novel thing you're writing, that's not getting you anywhere. Right?
That also doesn't make sense to me. It's when his business isn't thriving that he should be begging the mother of his children to get another source of income. But his business is thriving and now he's like, you got to do better.
Yeah, you got to do better. He's decided that she no longer needs a babysitter. Why? What are you doing at home? Not taking care of the kids. You can do that and write your trashy novels because they ain't going nowhere anyway. Get a real job. So he fires the babysitter. He even tells without her knowing. He didn't even tell her. He even tells Finn he wants to get full custody of the children, like I mentioned. But he does agree to watch the children while she goes to her meeting. Finn leaves the house only to find out that the garage door won't close because the power is out. As I mentioned, she's behind on her bills. And this includes the electric bill. I think it's like 30 days past due. And I don't know, I've been in a situation where the electricity bill
they don't turn off your electricity like that.
And they don't turn off your electricity like that. But in this case, they did. Okay, so maybe I don't know where she lived, but it could be a thing.
Semi-recently, I forgot to pay one of these bills for 3 months.
Easy peasy.
I thought it was on auto pay.
Easy
Apparently
peasy.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Did nobody cut off nothing?
And they didn't cut off anything. So
I check my mail once every 3 years and I just happened to check it and it was a red envelope in there. I said, what in the...
They do make it bold when they tired.
Yeah.
When they fed up.
Oh, a color. Let me get on it.
It's like real color. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, she missed her the original brunch time. They're going to Panera. She's wearing sunglasses. She's trying to disguise herself a little bit because she got kicked out of Panera before
for dumping soup on Teresa's head.
Mm-hmm. And so she's got her sunglasses on, her hair in a ponytail, or is she wearing a wig? I can't remember. Nonetheless, she is feeling disguised. And she sits down at a table next to a middle-aged woman who's eating alone. No big deal. As Finn and her agent discuss her situation, that's her being behind on even getting drafts to her agent to read over. She's like, you can't get no more money. You're really close to the deadline. You're pushing it. You need to push something out really quickly because we run out of time. And Finn complains that her last murders have been too formulaic and she needs more time to research, thus more money. And so, she needs a little help. And her agent, Sylvia, is like, nah, man, just push it out. She tells Sylvia the next deal needs to boost her career and she won't take anything less than $15,000. The woman at the next table seems to be paying attention. And they're saying things like a hit. What else things are they saying to make it seem...
So already, like you said, Finlay said, my murders are just ho-hum. They're too formulaic. I need to do something different. Mm-hmm. And the agent is like, well, make it neat like you're used to doing. Just keep it neat. And the woman next to him keep looking like, oh, they do neat murders. Clean. No evidence.
Clean, yeah. So when Sylvia, the agent, leaves, Finn goes to clear the table. And when she returns, she sees a note on the table where the woman was sitting. And it must be big enough because it says $50K cash, Harris Mickler, and an address along with a phone number. And Finn kind of looks at it and she's like, why she leave that there? Why she didn't throw her own trash out?
It ain't for me. I don't know that lady.
But she picks it up, puts it in her pocket, looks at her keys and notices that her diaper bag is open. It has duct tape, a blunt knife, and a bloodstained burp rag is visible. And she had noticed that during the meeting, but not really. She just noticed her baby bag was open and she kind of tried to cover it up a little bit. Anyway, so Finn's got this note though, and she leaves. But she's curious about the note, so she decides to call the number. When a woman answers and tells Finn she is being hired to kill her husband, who is not a nice man and has done terrible things, Finn wants to explain, one, she's in shock. Like, how is this happening to me? But she also wants to explain. But the woman is quick and she just kind of hangs up. Well, she tells her before she hangs up, she tells Finn where her husband's going to be tonight. And it hangs up before Finn can even ask any questions. Because the woman is thinking, Finn is a hit woman. She about her business and she don't got time to be chit-chatting. So give her the information and get off. So, and Finn is like, what? So Finn realizes that the woman thinks she's a hit woman after seeing the empty diaper bag and listening to the conversation between she and Sylvia. Finn is feeling desperate. Like I said, she's behind on her rent. She's behind on a lot of bills. So she considers the offer, wondering what kind of man Harris is. When she returns home, she finds that the electricity is back on and the garage door is closed. Stephen calls to tell Finn she needs to pick up the children within an hour. And Finn thanks Stephen for taking care of the electricity. And he tells her, Teresa and her bestie. Now, Teresa is the girlfriend and her bestie is Amy. They took care of the garage door. So they figured out how to close. Oh, I know what it is. Teresa or Amy had a friend at the electric company and they turned her stuff back on, gave her the little hookup. And Finn wants to know, well, who was Amy and why was she in my house? And he's like, well, she babysits the children when the kids are over here. You only get them for 2 days? Why you need a babysitter? But he do.
He don't want to be with them kids.
So she picks up the children from Stephen's side farm. This is a farm that he purchased after they were divorced. And Stephen gives Finn the keys to the house so she can grab the children's thing because he's kind of in a hurry. And tells her not to tell Teresa, that's his fiance, that they were in the house. Again, the realtor. Finn convinces Steve to give her gas money. So she, you're cutting everything off. You got rid of this and that. Give me some money. He begrudgingly does that, but I think he makes a show for the little girl. When she goes to the house, she looks up Harris Mickler. So she was going to do it at her house, but then she got the call. She looks up murder all day because she's writing for books. So that's nothing. But then she decides she's going to do it at Teresa's house?
Because she's looking off a specific individual. Yes, her Google search is in shambles because she's always researching for her murder books. But this is actually an individual who someone associated with him is trying to put a hit out on him. And she's like, I don't want that on my, situation. Yeah. My IP address loading out here. This could actually be a victim one day. I'll look it up at my ex-husband's house on his girlfriend computer.
His girlfriend computer. And so when she finds Harris Mickler, she finds pictures of his wife, Patricia. Now, that's the woman that hired her. In several pictures, she sees Patricia's wearing bandages in several of the pictures, leaving her to believe that Harris is abusive because she leaves the house. And before she leaves the house, she steals a dress from Teresa's closet. Okay.
You already see where this is going. That's fine.
So Finn calls Vero, that's the babysitter, again, because now she's going to try to investigate this Harris guy. She's thinking
she needs someone to watch the kids while she is unreasonably nosy because she don't want to do anything with this, but she just has to see this guy in person.
Yeah, I also think it probably has to do with her book stuff. She's got nowhere to start. Why not? Why not
She's
investigate
looking for inspiration.
So she calls Vero. Vero doesn't answer. That's the babysitter. She calls her sister, who's a police officer, and her sister don't get along with children. Don't love the children. I mean, she loves them, but don't need to be watching them. She care less.
Relatable.
She also begrudgingly agrees to watch the children, and she said, "If you're not back by 10 p.m., I'm putting out a hunt for you." Okay. So Finn goes to this location where Harris is expected, chats up the bartender. She's in Teresa's dress and she got on a wig. She even introduces herself as Teresa to the bartender. And she says she works in real estate. The bartender's name is Julian, and he's like a third-year law student, and he starts flirting with her and stuff. And Finn is like, boy, you too young. I'm busy. So she proceeds on her little assignment. Finn sees Harris with another woman that's not his wife. So she figures he must be cheating. He's a cheater. This is what he does. That's not reason enough to kill somebody. Murder.
Yeah. He's a bad man. A very bad man. But you don't kill him for this.
Yeah. So she follows the woman into the restroom and then realizes that Harris and the other woman are both cheating on their spouses. Finn purposefully spills a drink on the woman and offers to go get club soda to help her assist in cleaning it up.
I thought she saw something that made her think this woman has to get out of here. And so Finn orders a Bloody Mary and then spills it on the woman.
So that's all in there. The woman does get up, but when the woman gets up and leaves, that's when she sees Harris slip her a Mickey.
When the woman's in the bathroom.
Yeah, when she's in the bathroom.
And then Finlay goes to get the Bloody Mary and spills it on the woman.
Yep. Finn finds that opportunity to go sit at the table. Like she fakes like she knows Harris. So she goes up to him like all giggly and try to get his attention because obviously that's what he likes. And that works. And she's able to sit at the table with him and then switch the drink that he put the Mickey in with his drink.
Spoilers ahead. I don't know if we said this.
Oh, all through the book. All through it.
You haven't really spoiled anything yet, but they're coming. The spoilers are coming.
She tells Harris that she knows him from another event, and he's like all in. Right. And she does a little flirty things with him just to try to get his attention because she also knows that the woman is in a poor position. So she's trying to save her. But again, the man is bad, but is he yet worthy of death? I don't know. Finn tells Harris he saw the woman that he was with arguing with her husband and that she left. So she suggests they go somewhere private. Harris agrees and quickly downs the drink with the Mickey in it. Harris asks Finn if he knows her from somewhere. He's like, I know you from somewhere. You look familiar. And he says, is it from Felix? And she's like, yeah, Felix, that's who it is. That's who it is. Harris is immediately uncomfortable. Like, what do you want? So the drugs in this drink, she's not sure how quickly it's going to take effect. She doesn't know anything about it. She just switched it. She didn't even know what it was. Well, anyway, he gets groggy. So she convinces him to leave with her. And by the time he gets to her car, he kind of falls into her minivan. Mm-hmm. He falls into her minivan.
Right.
And she closes the door, and then she sees the bartender. The bartender comes out, and the bartender gives Finn his number. And she tells him, I got 2 children. And he was like, so I still want to talk to you, girl. Mm-hmm. And I think somewhere in here, she hears dogs barking in the offing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
something
that's exactly
like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she hears the dogs barking. So Finn calls Patricia to tell her there's been a misunderstanding and that she is bringing Harris home. Again, he's a bad guy, but has he done anything that he's deserving of death? And Patricia's like, look, don't bring him here. Don't bring him here and look in his phone. So she looks in his phone. She sees a collection of folders. The
password is Milkman.
Yeah, with different women's name, and the pictures behind them reveal that Harris has been drugging and assaulting women sexually for a long time. Mm-hmm. And not only that, he's then blackmailing these women.
Yeah, so he's taking photos of them in compromising positions and saying that if you say anything, so all these women have powerful husbands. So he's telling them, if you say anything, I'll tell your husband. Mm-hmm. And in that way, he's able to manipulate the husbands through the wives.
So when Finn gets to her house, when Finn gets to her house, she pulls into her garage, goes inside, with Harris still in the minivan, passed out, and she calls her sister for advice. She kind of tells her this scenario because she's working on a book, of course, and she just kind of wants to get it right. And she tells her sister that she should take Harris to the police. Her sister tells her that she should take Harris to the police in hopes that they would give her a deal because she's drugged this man and she's taken part in it. So the sister,
like you said, does not know that this is actually true. This is what's happening. Finlay just presents it as if I'm writing a character. Thank you for watching my kids so that I can work. I'm working on this character. She's in this crazy situation. What do you think she would do as an officer? What would you do? She was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Definitely turn yourself in.
Yeah, turn yourself
Have
in.
The character turn herself in.
That's the way to do it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Finn is like, no, can't do that. When Finn goes to the garage, so after she's on this phone with her sister for a while, chit-chatting about this. But of course, she's just trying to get information on how best to handle her situation.
I think she does resolve to do this. She's going to turn herself into her sister.
Right. That's what she decided.
Yeah.
So when Finn goes back to the garage, she immediately is hit with fumes from the running minivan. One, she left the vehicle running. And she opens the door, turns off the ignition. And suddenly she realizes that Harris is in the van. And upon checking, Harris is dead.
So this is when the book lost me, because if you have someone passed out in your car, presumably dangerous and manipulative, you don't leave the keys with them. So you wouldn't have left the car running to have a conversation with your sister. You don't even know how long the conversation going to be. No one does that.
Well, you're thinking it's going to be quick. I can see it. He's passed out. You gave him and a little
lock
roofie.
The door behind you. No, really, right?
Do
because
they
he could
do
come
that
too
in the scary movies? Do they?
Yeah.
In the horrors?
Yeah, because he could come too. I wouldn't know. I don't watch those movies. But he could come too and then drive away.
He could. Or he'd come in and get you, but it never works like that in the scary movies. So this translation is right on point here.
Okay.
Scary movies, they do stupid things all the time. It's part of the process.
All right.
So he's dead. She tries to revive him. And as she's trying to revive him, Vero, the babysitter, pops up.
How long Vera been in that house? Just the house that she just exited?
Yeah.
The babysitter been in there with getting all the stuff she want?
No, the babysitter just walked in while she's
then
out
how
there.
She got a box full of stuff?
Did she? Oh, she had a box full of stuff.
She got a box. So we'll soon find out that the babysitter has been going around the house collecting things that she wants, mostly in the kitchen, as a kind of like settlement. Like, y'all fired me without notice, so I'm taking this pot. I'm taking some bourbon. I'm taking.
She did.
Okay. She going shopping.
Stuff.
And apparently this only took her seconds.
She sees Harris. And Finn is like, tries to explain. And Vero's like, no, I didn't see anything. You and your husband are crazy. I'm out of here. And I'm taking this with me. And she said, and she actually tells Finn that she quit and her husband did not fire her because he wanted her to sleep with him in order for her to get her pay. So she's like, y'all sickos, and I don't like it, and I'm out. Mm-hmm. Finn is shocked and explains her situation to Vero, the situation with her going to get Harris, drugging him, and then bringing him and putting him in a car. And that she only considered the situation because there was like $15,000 involved in. Vero's like, wait, what?
50,000.
15.
What?
Mm-hmm. The offer for service was 50,000. Yes, there was 50,000 involved. That's the only reason why she's considering it. That's the only reason why Finn consider it. And when Vero hears the 50,000, she too finds that money is worth it being considered. Finn calls Patricia and tells her the deed is done. Well, actually, she tells her what's happened. And Patricia tells her, like, listen,
get rid of the body and don't call me till you do.
Mm-hmm. And don't come looking for me. She tells Finn to get rid of the body, don't contact her. And Vero tells Finn she will help her get rid of the body if she can have 40% of the money and move in with Finn. Maybe.
First she's like, give me 50%.
No,
and then Finlay, no, she says 50. And then Finlay doesn't say anything because she's shocked by the proposition. But the babysitter takes that to mean we negotiate now. She says, okay, I won't take less than 40.
Okay, 40%. Nonetheless, that's what they agreed on. Finn decides not to wrap the body up in the shower curtains because that's the first thing police know. If the shower curtains is missing.
I feel like I read a book where the officers was asking the lady something. He was like, why don't you have shower curtains? And they arrested her. She in jail to this day.
Not to this day. To this day. Not for the shower curtain. Anyway, Finn says she's not going out like that. I'm going to watch him. I'm going to wrap him in silk table linens. And they put the body in Vero's car. First, they go pick up the children with the dead body in the car, right? And put the kids in the backseat. They're sleeping. And then they go to Stephen and Teresa's house. First, they're going to get a shovel, but they decide to bury the body over there because there's like fresh piles of dirt.
So now you have fibers from a tablecloth that's very specific to a gift you received by a specific person. Right? These aren't even like Target tablecloth. This is a very specific fine silk tablecloth. I'm tired.
Today, these days, those are regularly found. Sure, it's a nice silk gift, but that's, it's found everywhere. Anyway, Vero suggests they do more of these murders for hire because this was like fun, apparently. And Finn quickly shoots down that suggestion. Finn decides to go meet with Patricia. Go ahead. What you got to say?
Can you please tell us what the babysitter's motivation is for getting involved in all this?
Girl, student loans. So Finn goes back to Patricia. She gets the 50,000 and Patricia gives her something else. What is it, Kari?
Patricia gives them a referral from a friend at her Pilates class who also wants a dead husband.
That's right. How much did she offer him?
75.
Yeah. And the name is Andre. Andre, that name sounds so familiar to Finn. So she's like, okay. So Finn goes back to the bar she was at last night where she met Harris so she can leave his belongings in the car. And she runs into the Julian guy. He's like, hey, what you doing back here? She's like, oh, I forgot something. He was like, oh, I thought you came back from me. She was like, nope, I didn't. But okay. Bye. But listen, when Finn returns home, she realizes that it wasn't her that shut the garage door.
Oh, and this epiphany just falls upon-st her. She is just thinking about the sunshine and the blue sky, and she go, wait a second. I didn't close the garage door, and so I'm not a murderer. I got problems with that. You put him in your car under the influence of illegal drugs. Yes, maybe he died from the fumes, but maybe he just died from that roofie you allowed him to ingest.
Nonetheless, I did not shut the garage door. And that's the point.
Lame.
Someone else who wanted Harris dead must have followed her home from the bar and closed the garage door while she was in the house. And it had to be two people because one person had to catch the door to make sure it shut quietly. Okay? And in the effort to try and understand what happened, she writes down all these events, right? Like
soft spoiler. A belt did it. Does that not make sense to you? It won't by the end of the book either.
Okay. So, listen. Finn decides she's going to go to Patricia's house and try to get some information. But the house is empty. She takes the woman's mail, looks through while she's in her car. And while she's sitting in the car looking through her mail, she sees two men go to the house. And one of them has a big knife. After they leave, she decides she has to go check to see if Patricia is still alive. And she sees no signs of Patricia, but a note that says, you've taken something that belongs to me. You have 24 hours before my patience run out. So she's like concerned about Patricia. Like, what happened? She's missing. And then while watching the news, Finn and Vera learn that Patricia and Harris are missing. And Finn decides to look up information about this Andre and learns that he's one of the men that was at Patricia's house. And he has ties to the Russian Mafia. What's she supposed to do?
Which is a contradiction in terms. Is that what we call them? The Russian Mafia?
The Russian Mafia.
Sure. That's like Fiesta Pizzeria in Chicago. That's fine. Mix the languages. Who cares? That's a Russian Mafia. Okay.
Nobody cares.
No. Because organized crime can only be a mafia. Everybody know that except the Mexicans. Because they have the cartel.
The next day, Vero and Finn go to this dog shelter where Patricia was working and notice a picture of Patricia and like another volunteer named Aaron. Mm-hmm. And Aaron reveals that he knows that Harris wasn't a good husband.
Oh,
but in this picture Finn sees of Aaron and Patricia, she noticed that Patricia don't have her ring on. And so they assume that she's having an affair with Aaron. And it's the dog shelter. And so they're thinking about adopting a dog while they're there. That's just to be said anyway. Listen, when Sylvia asks Finn for progress on what she's working on, she's forced to give her the note she's taken about Harris's death. And Sylvia loves it. Loves the draft. She offers her a new contract for 2 books, an extension, and how much money? Another $75,000 for each book in advance. And the book can be written under a pen name.
So Finlay has written everything she's going through into this draft.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way for this book to end now is in a courtroom. And it is now a courtroom drama. But no.
No, it's not. It's not. You're reading into that. Don't do that. That's not what this book is about.
Not me being logical. Yep.
One afternoon, Finn sees a police car outside with a handsome plainclothes officer in it. Turns out her sister sent this detective, Nick Anthony, because she thinks Finn can help Nick Anthony with the case. This I thought was a little weird. Why are you getting a suspense writer to work with the detective to write the book?
Because your sister said you might be able to help me because you write for crime novels. Forget my years of training as an investigator. I'm not even like beat cop. I'm like a straight up investigator. I've been in this business. This is what I do. But you write books about it? Oh, we got to get you in the room. You ride along with me.
That's important. Listen, Nick reveals that the information, he reveals to Finn the information he has on the case. Harris was seen leaving the bar with a woman identified as Teresa, who is part of Harris's social networking group and has also been identified by the bar staff, this Teresa person. Mm-hmm. Because Finn was wearing a wig and identified herself as Teresa. Don't forget that. That's who they think Teresa is. Harris's phone was also located a few miles from Teresa's house. Well, that's because Finn had the phone on the night he disappeared. But of course, that was because Harris, like I said, was at her house, and her house is down the street from Teresa and Stevens. Nick says Teresa has no alibi and thinks she's hiding something. In actuality, Teresa was messing around with the mafia boss, and that's her real alibi. Meanwhile, Vero meets with the new client, Irina, to get money for the new job.
Yeah.
She took it upon herself to do that.
She did.
And and the woman tells her, I think she does that and brings the money home, spends it or whatever.
Slaps it on the table and says, she said her husband real bad, so we can do this with a clear conscience. What? This is for student loans, girl? I think you was just always evil.
But they're the problem. Don't forget, they're the problem.
Okay.
So then I think a little bit later, Finn must have told her to take the money back. So she tries to take the money back to Irina. And Irina
Finlay tells her, this man slits throats. And then the babysitter goes, what? I knew he was bad news, but he slits throats. We got to get out of this.
She convinces her to take the money back to Irina. And Irina is like, listen, if you don't handle this in 2 weeks, I'm going to give you some more money. But if you don't handle this in 2 weeks,
I will set fire to your life.
I'm going to tell my husband that you stole the money from me.
Yeah.
From him. Mm-hmm. So you need to take care of it. Your time is running out. And her husband is the one they're supposed to kill. And so Finn tries again to convince Irina that this is all a mistake. And Irina tells her she understands Finn is well qualified. So she needs to handle this business. Okay. The mafia boss doesn't care if her husband disappears because her husband has been messy anyway. And Irina has worked it out so that Patricia no longer exists. What? Patricia is missing. We mentioned it, right?
When she said this, I knew exactly what she was saying. Mm-hmm. It's very clear to everyone except the protagonist, who assumes right away that she dead. Patricia dead.
So Finn learns that Teresa is having an affair with the mafia boss. Okay. And that her best friend Amy was a victim of Harris. So of course they did it. Of course they committed the crime. That's what she thinks. So she then writes out the rest of the story a little bit, but kind of changes the direction of the story. And of course changes names so it doesn't look like Amy and Teresa are the guilty party. Mm-hmm. Well, while she's writing more notes, she gets a drunk call from Steve and he asks her to meet up. Like, what's up? He tells her he thinks Teresa is cheating, that he's also cheating, but Teresa, the person Teresa is cheating with, is involved in some dangerous business. So he's worried. So when she takes Steven home, she steals his house key, and the next day she breaks into Teresa's house, into their house. But Teresa comes home while Finn is at the house. And so she reaches out to Vero to send a distraction.
Right.
Okay. And that distraction is Vero's cousin having Teresa's car towed, something like that. Mm-hmm. Eventually, Finn is able to sneak out of the house. And when she sneaks out the house, she runs into that Nick guy. And together, they're able to confirm again that Teresa's having an affair with the mafia boss. And Nick deduces that the mafia boss is messing around with Teresa because he wants to buy land to do bad things, store dead bodies, whatever.
Reddit says they are not the mafia. They're the Bratva. And that Russian organized crime groups sometimes use the term brotherhood. That is all. However, you will hear mafia, especially in American media, when referring to these crime groups. So in your face, Alexis.
Well, I guess. Did y'all
As you are, please tell us about these contrived endings to the plot. Go ahead.
Listen, wrapping it up, Finn and Vero go to Amy's job and question her about her whereabouts on the night of the murder. And she reveals that she was in an AA meeting. So she obviously has an alibi for her whereabouts. So who's left? Who's left, Kari?
Everybody. All the side characters we spent 2 seconds with. So the man at the humanitarian shelter with the animals.
Yeah. Listen,
Teresa, somehow the officer. Oh, this is one logical thing that happens. That officer that's been driving her around, trying to get her input, he gets taken off the case and put on desk leave as he's being investigated. I said, now that's logical. And apparently it's an injustice, but get this man out of the street. He is taking civilians. And then once he learns the civilians have a personal tie to the case, i.e. Teresa, he still be riding them around and kissing them and carrying on in the car during the investigation. Yeah. So I said, who's stupid? Is it supposed to be me or the characters in the book? Because somebody thinks somebody's stupid. And I want it to be clear, it ain't me. Okay? Shoot.
Listen, so Finn goes back to the pet shelter, and guess what? Aaron is gone, and she figures out that Aaron has killed Harris because he knew Harris was abusing Patricia and that he and Patricia ran away together.
Alexis, please explain to the audience and me how she came up with this. And the solid evidence that she found that led her to this conclusion.
So when she got out of the car, when she came back, the dog was barking. She's like, oh, I heard a dog, right? And then when she went home and she went into the garage with Harris in the car, she heard the dog barking again.
Alexis, are we to believe there are not dogs in the neighborhoods that she is visiting? Was there no dog near the bar or no dog in the residential area she lives in?
Well, they weren't out barking. That's the point, Kari.
Only the dogs bark at the Humane Society where Aaron worked?
That's right.
Alexis, why is Aaron running around with these dogs from the shelter? Especially if he's trying not to be found because he's killing people. Please explain.
Oh, he just he didn't really kill people. He just raised the garage door down with his rope.
Nope, no rope. A belt. A belt. We saw him wear a belt earlier in the book, and so we have now deduced that he both closed the door and caught it because he pulled it down with the belt and hurried up and caught it.
Quietly. That's a real life thing. But
and then him and his 60 dogs and his Toyota Prius drove away so silently, except for the barking.
It was a brown Subaru, and they drove away into happiness with Patricia. That brings us to the end of the book.
Oh, good. That's it. You want to take a break?
Let's take a break.
Okay, great. And we're back.
No, me.
Yeah, you. Yeah. Because you must answer for your crimes. Go ahead.
And we're back.
Woo!
Kari. Not that you haven't given us a little of your opinion already, but we'd love to hear your final thoughts on this book and whether or not you'd recommend it.
Didn't like it, wouldn't recommend it. This book made the Thursday Murder Club look like Crime and Punishment. I mean, War and Peace.
Not War and Peace. Did you read that?
No.
Okay.
Listen, I was dumbfounded by the lack of logic toward the end. However, I have to say The reason for my vitriolic hate toward the end of the book is because I was having so much fun in the beginning. I thought it was thoughtful in the beginning, easy to follow. Yes, there were contrived situations, but that was a wink to me, I thought. I thought that was to let me know, hey, don't worry, it's not going to get too serious. This is kind of a comedy. And I'm even going to write comedic scenes that make you chuckle. And then I have this babysitter whose motivation, sure, it's a bit odd, a bit unrealistic, but this is an unrealistic book. Just follow me. It'll be fun.
You don't know her student loan situation?
Now, I'm not going to get too much into the babysitter because I have problems with her. Her brother, a cousin or somebody stole a car, hot-wired it, found out how to do it on YouTube, and the protagonist thinks, sounds like he should be committing these murders. I said, how we get from that to this?
I didn't like that line. I didn't like that line.
Didn't like that at all.
Like that line.
Let me let it ride, because you know better, you do better. You don't just be thinking, oh, you stole a car? You should be committing these murders, not me. Anyway, the point is, once we got to the car and Harris was dead, I said, oh, it's a slapstick comedy. This is an outright comedy. And I was still rolling with it. I ain't gonna lie to you. Once this Mitch bartender guy, once I realized the only purpose for him was to say hi sometimes and to talk to her on the phone, I said, oh. So then I was like, well, this is really meta, because in the book, we have someone who's trying to fight their deadline to finish a book. And that's obviously what Elle, the author, was going through too. Like, wrap this up. Somebody was like, I don't care if it don't make sense. Make it neat. And so she put some of that in the book. And I was like, that's kind of, I don't know. I kind of respect it. In the end, though, when they like go back to get the body because they want to move the body, and they find more bodies, and then a man shows up from the Russian Mafia and accidentally shoots himself, and they push him into the pit. I said, we have all given up. And I don't even mean the author and me as the reader. I mean society. We have given up. We no longer know how to tell stories. We have become so addicted to plot twists. Actually, I blame Gone Girl. I blame The Silent Patient. I blame these twists that universally have appeal and which people just can never forget. It creates in us this insatiable hunger, and everything ain't gotta be like that. Like, this could just be her getting arrested. If you ended this book with her getting arrested and the detective, now I know you don't think I'm crazy. It was the characters, and you wrote them to be nuts. But with the way this book ended, I said, oh, you think I'm stupid. And now I'm mad. Now we gotta fight. So, did I enjoy this book? No. Would I recommend this book? No. Would I read any other books in this series? Yes! Because this book is fun in the beginning and the lines are good. Alexis, oh, real quick. With Behind Closed Doors, I said that the end of the book decides if I like the book at all. And so because this ending is so bad, I hate the book. That doesn't mean I didn't like the writer's style or that I wouldn't give her another chance, because I actually am interested in reading the next book right away, just to get the taste of this book out of my mouth. So Alexis, please, you share. What did you think? Would you recommend this book? Did you enjoy reading it? Am I being a little too dramatic, unfair, just kind of, wrong?
I always think you're dramatic in a lot of ways. Sometimes you're just really point on. This one, I think, I literally classified this as one of those cozy murders. You just kind of just read it and go along with it. The same kind of way you read it and went along with Falling. Same thing. Same thing. I thought that was wild. And you was like, go right along with it. This one, I think this is one you could just go along with. It's not a big deal. They're just saying stuff and doing stuff. She had a story to write and she wrote it. It's okay. I would definitely read. So I read this book twice. The first time I read it, I was like, yeah, it's okay. The second time I read it, I start to see the flaws. So some of the things that you're talking about, I was like, yeah, that's weird. Oh, that's also weird. But still, I don't know. It's just a book. It's not that serious. So I wouldn't mind recommending it because it's a cozy murder. A cozy murder. Just sit up and read it and laugh about it. Her and Vero's adventures. And I look forward to reading the next novel, the next suspense thriller that she has. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
So thank you, Alexis. Alexis is saying I'm being too dramatic. However, a pet peeve of mine is when someone says it's just a book, it's just a movie, it's just this. Doesn't the art we take in influence who we are? Won't this make you a lazy thinker and a nonsensical person? Is this the type of stuff you read and you like, the cop said he was tased and then he took out a knife and ran down the street. And so we had to shoot him. And you go, that checks out. That checks out. I'm just saying, books like this are dangerous to society.
But there's so many books like this that everybody reads. It's on the norm.
So I'm going to leave this alone because what Elle has done is completed a whole book series and I can't even finish one book. And so Elle, you are a YA author who took your talents to adult books and it was successful and people love your stories. And you know what? That tells me straight off the rip, the second book, it's going to be great. It's going to be just like Thursday Murder Club. It's going to be just, or the second one, the bullet, whatever ain't the first. It's like a car. It's like when, I don't know, Maserati puts out that, let me stop. When Toyota puts out the 300, ain't never been no 300, CS 300 by Toyota. Don't buy that first year. They got to get the bugs out. Maybe the second year, maybe the third year. And it's just like that with book series. So yeah, TJ Newman's Drowning. I really like that book. I had a great time with that.
You really did.
Sure did. Falling was offensive and a bit dumb, but I was still rolling with it. Thursday Murder Club, that whole book series except the first book I love. And I think that's how it's going to be for Finlay Donovan. So thank you, Alexis. You're saying you enjoyed the book. You would recommend it. I'm saying run from this book. It will make you an irresponsible citizen. However, I can't wait to read the next one.
So let me just say, so that means from what I'm hearing you say is people should not read for entertainment. They should always be reading to break down a book.
Can you not be entertained? Listen, Jurassic Park, foolishness. This man, Michael Crichton, studied deep science to create something that if you don't look too closely, kind of sort of makes sense. But that to me shows respect for the reader. Like you are putting all of this effort into some foolishness that is fun to read and that makes me feel like I could go out and make a dinosaur. That's good writing. That's great writing. This book didn't motivate. This book didn't act like it respected me as the reader. It didn't try to, is that wrong to say? I'm saying
that's how you feel. Nope, that's how you feel. Express yourself.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Express yourself.
I just really felt disrespected by this book. I felt like, oh, you don't think this matters at all? And what's this bartender that's trying to pass the bar or is past the bar and is going to be a public defender soon?
Yeah.
Why is he here? Why are you distracting us from this weak plot? Focus on this. I'm kidding. A little upset just because I do feel like this book was rushed. Can you not be entertained by quality? Yes, books are for entertainment, but respect the time is finite. We only have so much. If I'm taking my time that I could be doing anything else, and I'm spending it reading your writing, show me respect by making your writing make sense. You said this man took his belt off and closed the garage door and catched it with the other hand. Why did you do that? Why is he the only one in the world with dogs? And just because you work at the shelter don't mean you carrying dogs around. I actually feel like that's against the shelter policy. You got to fill out a form to be a foster parent of pets.
You do. Kari feels very passionate about this.
This is wrong. This book is wrong. This book needs to be arrested. The detective is riding around with Finlay for why? Because she writes books?
He's also protecting her, according to her sister.
From what?
She is alone.
Oof, that's. And on that note, what are we reading next week, Alexis?
James by Percival Everett.
Thank you. Now, I'm not to put too much sauce on next week's book, but you can have a logical plot. You can be going somewhere. You can be saying something and it be for entertainment. Thank you all for listening to Lit Society. If you've enjoyed what you just heard, please tell a friend about Lit Society. Oh, yeah, we're on Patreon. That means to listen to the full episode of some of our episodes, you must be a paid member on Patreon. Free members also will get a full episode like today's. So you can sign up for free. Membership is free and you get a little something for us because we value your time. Support the cause by leaving a 5-star review for our show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, along with a comment about why you absolutely love us. We love you too.
We love you too.
Be sure to sign up for our show on Patreon, where membership is free, so that you can listen to the full episode of this week's episode. If you've enjoyed what you've just heard today, as we know you have, tell a friend about Lit Society. Visit litsocietypod.com for show notes, this month's book list, and to sign up for our amazing email newsletter. And until next time, you guys, read something.